What is going on YouTube? This is your host, Marcus James Witherspoon, and this is another episode of 717 Sports Chat Live. How's everybody doing tonight in the 717 and abroad? If you haven't already, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. The support is greatly appreciated as well as notification icon. You get all the latest content updates when I'm going live, which is basically every single day now. Trying to keep up with this, trying to build this channel. So show your support, hit that like button, subscribe. It is greatly appreciated. So as you know, this is obviously a sports channel. So we got a few topics for this episode. Today is just going to be strictly, tonight is strictly going to be NFL. You know what I mean? We had a ton of NFL news coming in today. So I wanted to definitely touch on that and only touch on that. So that's what we're going to go with. The topics we have for today is obviously the biggest news coming out of the NFL today with former Dolphins coach Brian Flores suing the NFL, citing racism in their hiring process, among other incidents. Excuse me. As well as why Tom Brady didn't mention Bill Belichick in his retirement speech. I did not touch on that last night when I talked about Tom Brady retiring, and we're going to touch on that tonight. As well as Jimmy G says the 49ers are working on a trade. He wants to go to a team that's hungry to win, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on that. Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts undergoes ankle surgery. Washington football team reveals their new name and logos. And last but not least, the New York Jets offensive lineman Cameron Clark retires at age 24, citing potential paralysis. So with that being said, let's jump in here to the first topic, and it's obvious. This news out of the NFL world today, and that's coming from former Dolphins Brian Flores. Everybody knows the story now. It's the biggest news in all the sports world. Brian Flores is suing the NFL, citing in their hiring process, among other incidents within his time. He even went to Dolphins, and I was to get hired elsewhere before getting hired at Dolphins, etc. So let's jump in. And the report that Flores, when he came out, he has said that basically he lost his job in Miami because Stephen Ross, the owner of the Dolphins, had tried to bribe him $100,000 extra dollars per game to tank games so they can get high draft picks. And Flores wasn't on board with that because he said that would taint the integrity of the game. And rightfully so. That would definitely taint the integrity of the game. Listen, you out there, those guys that you put on that 53-man roster are out there to compete and to win. If that's who you put on your 53-man roster, if that's what that coach put together, you got to trust your coach that he has a guys capable enough to win ball games. Now, also, there's obviously another incident when he wanted to get hired by the Denver Broncos a couple years back, and before he took the Miami Dolphins job. And when John Elway and company came to the hiring process, apparently they were disheveled. They looked like they'd been drunk. Like, basically, in so many words, they came to this interview with Flores already knowing they weren't going to hire him. So they basically came in a way that was misrepresentatory of a professional football team and professional, front office personnel. So basically what they did was they presented themselves in a way that would make him not want the job, etc. At least from how I take it. Now, obviously, the New York Giants head coaching position. It was being speculated that Brian Flores and Brian Daboll were like the two favorites. Current, obviously, still New England coach Bill Belichick. Flores is his former employee in New England. He sent a message to Flores saying congratulations on the job. And me personally, I think Bill Belichick did that on purpose. He knew Brian Daboll got the job, and he did that to tip Flores off, I believe. Because the crazy thing about the situation is with the Giants is that the Giants still had an interview set up for Brian Flores in place, knowing they were not going to hire him because they already had secured the job for Brian Dable. And that's what it said in the text message from Bill Belichick, that Brian secured the job. And Brian Flores is looking like, what are you talking about? I didn't hear nothing. So that's how Brian Flores found out about Brian Dable becoming the new New York Giants head coach. And this doesn't surprise me, guys. Listen, as an half African American man, you know what I mean, and a quarter man, this does not surprise me. This does not surprise me at all. When you look at what the NFL has done to Colin Kaepernick and the hypocrisy of the end racism stickers and this and this and this and that, everybody knows the gig has been up. The NFL is a racist league. And everybody considers Roger Goodell this, Roger Goodell this. People understand that Goodell has bosses. And there are 32 of them. He answers to the owners. The owners are the NFL, the real bosses. And if you need me to clarify just how fucking racist these cocksuckers are, do I need to pull up what Bob McNair, the late Bob McNair, former Tennessee Titans, Houston Texans owner, before he passed, said about basically black players or whatnot? We cannot let the inmates run the asylum. That's what these owners think about a lot of these minority players. That's the way they think about them, and coaches as well. A lot of people are not going to like what I have to say in regards to this, this video and in this segment of the video, but it's the truth. I'll put it this way. The NFL resembles what this country resembles in so many ways. Don't believe me? One African-American minority president in the history of America. One. That's Barack Hussein Obama. You want to know who the only black minority NFL coach is in the league right now? Mike Tomlin. The only one. The only black head coach left standing. It is no secret that when it comes to the hiring of black coaches, there's a black ball in effect. There's no secret that when a black coach gets hired, his string is his string for success is a lot shorter than one of a Caucasian coach. That is the truth. That is the truth. So I love what Brian Flores is doing. I feel like this needs to be done. We need this change in the NFL. We need more inclusive diversity. We are the biggest in America. We are the biggest body of diversity in the world. There should be no reason we should still have these type of conversations. None. Many consider basketball to be, quote unquote, a black man's sport. You see how many white coaches are in the league? They don't got no problem with diversity. But it sure seems the NFL does. And I know a lot of you might run across this video who don't believe in, that our country is racist or that the NFL is racist or have a thing to say about this. Look, you're entitled to your opinion, but you can't tell me nothing. You can't tell me nothing that my eyes haven't already shown me. Your words won't allow me to hear nothing that my eyes already saw for themselves. Let's start calling it for what it is. That's how we make change. That's how we make the situations better. A lot of y'all who don't like to talk about race are tired of talking about race, are tired of talking about situations like these. Let's help be the change to stop situations like these. Let's all band together to stop systemic racism, to stop blackballing of oh, because you're white, you don't deserve to work this job, or because you're black, you don't deserve to have this. No, that's bullshit. We as people need to get away from this type of thinking. It don't matter what race, what ethnicity, etc. If you have a God-given ability and talent to do something, you should be allowed to do so accordingly. You should be allowed to do so accordingly. It's like Sylvester Stallone. I'm going to quote Sylvester Stallone from Rocky Balboa. When Rocky went to get his boxing license, again, at age 55, 56, and he passed his the test that he needed to pass his licensing test with flying colors. But yet the commission was still not trying to grant him a license. And as he proceeds to walk out of the building, he turns back around and says, "Don't I got rights?" What do you mean? Well, like, that piece of paper that's down the street. You said, oh, you're talking about the Bill of Rights, but what are you trying to get? And that's the pursuit of happiness. But what are you trying to get at? And he says, well, I'm pursuing something that makes me happy, but you guys don't look too happy about it. You mean you think it's right for people to pay the freight on something they pay and then you still tell them no? You think that's right? I mean, maybe you're just trying to do your job, but what if they're just trying to do yours? Because if you got to go through the battle and you got to go through to get to where the hell you got to get, who's got the right to stop you? Who's got the right to stop you? If this black man wants to fucking coach football, he should be allowed to. Not based on the color of his skin, but based on the credentials of his profession. He paid the freight. He paid the freight. Let the man work. Let him do what he's happy. Let him do what makes him happy, which is obviously head coaching. Who's got the right to tell somebody that they shouldn't be allowed to do what they love just because they won't basically bow down to the man? Because they won't kiss the man's ass. Damn if you do, damn if you don't for black coaches. If you win, you're loved. If you lose, you're hated. If you don't do whatever they say, you're hated. Hell, even if they win, he was winning. He brought Miami football back. He made them relevant again. And that's the fucking truth. He made Miami watchable again. And it still wasn't good enough to keep his job. Why? Because he wouldn't bow down and kiss Stephen Ross's ass. And unfortunately, that's what we have here in this league. Is a bunch of endless fucking shirt tuckers who want their ass kissed. And especially if you're black in this league and you don't kiss that ass, you will not have a job. Don't believe me? Brian Flores is my perfect example. All because he wasn't going to sit there and purposely lose games. You hire a head coach to win you ball games, but because he wouldn't purposely take bribery money to lose games, he was let go. You think they would have did that to a Sean McVay? You think they would have did that to a Jay Gruden? You think they would have did that to a Matt LaFleur? No. And now you have Hugh Jackson now coming out saying the same thing about the Cleveland Browns. Try to bribe him to take money. Try to bribe him to take money, give him extra money to tank. So now the domino effect is happening, and I love to see it. It needs to happen. This shit needs to stop. You know what I mean? Stop discriminating people over the color of their skin or their ethnicity just because they aren't Caucasian. If they have the credentials for the job and they're doing their job right and actually winning and actually doing it right, he should have kept his job. It's simple and plain. Simple and plain. He was winning. He brought Miami football back to relevancy. And this is the things he gets. Well, you know what? Listen, we all know the NFL is a powerful league. Excuse me. And I'm not sitting there saying that this lawsuit is going to change anything or have an effect, but I'm hoping it does. I'm hoping it does because I would really like to see real change, especially when it comes to this type of situation. I really would. All right, guys, we're going to move on to the next topic. And that is why Tom Brady didn't mention Coach Belichick in his retirement speech. I mean, guys, as we all know, Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. Yes, I did a Skip Bayless quote there. I felt it was fitting to at the time. But why Tom Brady didn't mention Coach Belichick in his retirement speech? All right, guys, I'm going to break it down for you like this. And I was talking to my buddy at work, my buddy Nigel, about it. You know what I mean? And he had a different point of view about it, respectfully. So I'm going to give you my point of view about it. The reason why Tom Brady didn't mention Coach Belichick in his retirement speech because he's still hurt by Coach Belichick. Listen, I firmly believe Tom Brady never wanted to leave New England. He never wanted to leave the Patriots. I firmly believe that. But we all know Coach Belichick was ready to move on. Coach Belichick was ready to prove that he could win a Super Bowl or at least win games, go to the playoffs without Tom Brady. That's a known fact. That's why back in 2014, there was a discussion about Tom being let go or being traded, etc. And Tom went to Robert Kraft, and Robert Kraft basically had his back and told Belichick no, which it turned out to be the right decision because they ended up winning more Super Bowls. 2 more to be exact. So it turned out to be a good move to not let Brady go there. But since 2014, when the Patriots had Jimmy Garoppolo on the roster, Bill Belichick was trying to move on from Tom Brady then. Because he wanted to show I can win with anybody. It wasn't Tom Brady. It's me. It ain't Tom. Tom has nothing to do with the winning of the Patriots. It's all me. That's the truth. And then obviously we know what Tom said. Well, you know what? Obviously, if I can't play here, I'm going to go play somewhere else. So he went to Tampa, and in spite of Belichick, won another Super Bowl. But he's hurting, guys. The reason why he's hurting is because it's just like if you work a job for so long, for 30 years, you give a job, 20, 30 years of your life, you broke your back for them. You gave them everything. You gave them every ounce of tear, every ounce of blood, every ounce of sweat that you could possibly give them. And you are still capable enough to perform at a high level to give them more. But they got a shiny new employee, young employee sitting right behind you. About 20 years your junior is you in this day and age, which you was back then. So they got a shiny new toy that they want to, bust out the roster. And they come and tell you, or come and tell me, I'll put myself in it. Marcus, we appreciate everything you've done over the course of 20 years for us. But we think it's time to move in a different direction. After I already made us the best company in the whole world. I'm still making us the best company in the whole world. But yet this job still comes to me and says, we feel this younger man is ready to do what you do and ready to take your spot. Your services are no longer needed. How would you feel? I know how I'd feel. I feel like, what the fuck? Like, hold on. I'm still performing my job at the highest level. I just made the company the number one company in the whole world. But yet you're going to let me go? It's like Dusty Rhodes, the great wrestler. Dusty Rhodes said in his 1985 promo, Hard Times, you work 30 years for a job. They give you a watch, kick you in the butt, and tell you a computer took your place, daddy. That's basically what the Patriots, what Bill Belichick did, especially the second time around with Tom Brady. Belichick let the talent around Brady get dried up, as they would say, the cupboard got bare, to where the point Brady was just like, you know what? I still want to compete. It's obvious he doesn't want me here anymore. He's not going to give me the guys that I need to win. He's not going to put them around me anymore. He doesn't want me here anymore. Now it's time for me to go, even though I don't want to. That's what it is, guys. He's hurt. He's still hurt over Coach Belichick, not believing in him. I think that's what it is. I think that's the biggest thing for Tom Brady, is that after all he done for the Patriots and for Coach Belichick, the fact that Coach Belichick didn't believe in his capabilities anymore. I think that's why Tom Brady didn't mention Belichick in his retirement speech, because I think he's still hurt. I think he's really, really hurt over that. I do. That's my opinion on that whole situation. I feel like Tom Brady is still very angry with Bill Belichick about not letting him finish his career in New England. And he has the right to feel that way. You know what I mean? He definitely does. I mean, you're talking about a guy who is a 6th-round pick. Obviously, Belichick gave him the opportunity, but he outperformed any expectation anybody had for him. Outperformed any expectations, even at an advanced age. But yet that still wasn't enough to keep him in New England. And that's what eats at him. That's what keeps him up at night when it comes to the New England Patriots situation, is the fact that I gave you 20 years of my life, 6 championships, gave you my end and all, made your franchise what it is today, which is a powerhouse franchise. And you gonna tell me that you don't want me no more, that you can win without me, that you think you can that you're so great as a coach that you can win with anybody, that I wasn't the guy? Okay. And I think that's just what it boils down to, guys. Tom Brady's hurt. He's hurt. He's upset with Bill Belichick. I think over time, especially at his overtime speech, his Hall of Fame speech, do I think we'll get a mention of Bill Belichick? Absolutely, I do. I think he'll bear it all then at the Hall of Fame speech. Because it's like the great Shannon Sharpe said on Skip and Shannon Undisputed. He even said, listen, Skip, he's hurting. I can tell you he's hurting because I went through the same thing. When Denver let me go, I told my family, I told my friends, I told everybody, I will never mention Denver in my Hall of Fame speech. I will never mention my coach Shanahan. I will never mention, Pat Bowlen. None of them. I will never mention or have no say of the Denver Broncos ever, because of how hurt he was that they let him go in 2000 because he knew he could still play. But what did Shannon say? He said over time, and especially when you get older, you mature. Every year is a maturation process. But as time heals, those wounds heal. And he had to sit back and think of how grateful he was of the opportunity that the Broncos organization gave him. And at his Hall of Fame speech, he thanked, Pat Bowlen, he thanked Mike Shanahan. So he made amends. He made peace with his situation in Denver. And I see that playing out for Tom Brady. I think eventually he will make peace. He's not at peace now. But I think eventually eventually he will make peace with this situation, what happened in New England. But I think, guys, that's my opinion on why Tom Brady didn't mention Bill Belichick in his retirement speech. All right, we're going to move on to the next topic. Speaking of Jimmy G. Jimmy G says the 49ers are on track or working on a trade, or on track working for a trade for him, and that he wants to go to a team that's hungry to win. My thoughts. My thoughts exactly, it's like, okay, Jimmy Garoppolo, you say you want to go to a team that's hungry to win. You were on a team that's been hungry and built to win. You went to a Super Bowl with this team, Jimmy G. And what did you do? You Jimmy gagged. I mean, the overthrow to Emmanuel Sanders in the Super Bowl, Rebel. The overthrow just past Sunday to George Kittle that easily would have been a house call. Listen, guys, I mean, I'm not saying Jimmy G isn't a capable quarterback, but my thing is this. He says he wants to go to a team that's hungry to win, but can that team trust that you're the guy that's going to lead them to victory? If the 49ers don't believe that, what would make another team believe that you're that guy that will take them to the next level? If the 49ers drafted your successor this past year, and then even after you got them to the NFC title game, don't want to keep you, what other team is going to look at you as a legit quarterback that they can say they have faith in Jimmy Garoppolo that he will take their team to a Super Bowl and win? I don't know what team is out there that would see that, because me personally, I don't see it. I mean, I'm calling it for what it is. Jimmy G just isn't that good of a quarterback. He isn't. He's not a good decision maker with the football. He's not. Now, if you're looking for a guy who's going to manage the game and you're a running football team, then okay. But I just personally do not think I laughed at this when I saw this topic, when I saw this article, because I'm just like, you had a lights out defense, you had Deebo Samuels, you had playmakers, and it's you who can't put any consistency together. It's you, Jimmy G. You want to go to a team that's hungry to win? How do we know you're the right quarterback for the job? You didn't prove that you was in San Francisco. This is how much Kyle Shanahan trusted you. In that NFC title game against Green Bay a couple years ago, 8 pass attempts. 8 pass attempts. That's how many times Jimmy G, you threw the ball in that NFC title game. And then this past NFC title game, when he needed you to be the guy, to be the quarterback, to put the team on his shoulders and lead them to victory, what did you do? You do what you always do, Jimmy. You Jimmy gagged. You know what I mean? It's the truth. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see where he does end up. I personally, I don't see how a team that is a contender or looking to win now looks at Jimmy Garoppolo as their quarterback of the future. I just don't see it. I don't. You had everything at your disposal. You had a playmaker. You had a couple playmakers in Kittle and Deebo. Elijah Mitchell's a playmaker. You had a solid defense, a top 10 defense, and you couldn't do anything with it. So, I mean, I don't know. I just don't think, there's going to be any team out there that's going to look at him and say, that's the quarterback that's going to win me a Super Bowl. I just don't. Especially after, his run in San Fran. I just don't see it. I'm trying to think about what teams really do need it. I mean, he could end up in Minnesota. I mean, if they get rid of Kirk Cousins, who else? Who's another team? Dolphins, maybe, if they're not sold on Tua. Lord. If Russell Wilson gets traded, maybe Seattle. I don't know. The cupboard's bare on this one, guys. I just don't see any team out there that really needs a quarterback, especially, like I said, I don't think there's any team out there that's going to bring Jimmy G in as the franchise quarterback, as a guy that they believe can win them a Super Bowl. I just don't see it. But that's my thoughts on the Jimmy G matter. We're going to move on to the next topic, and that is Jalen Hurts, Eagles quarterback, undergoes ankle surgery. There's no big surprise. I mean, this kid was banged up for all year, most part, and he played through it. A lot of injuries and stuff like that. Got to give him credit for his heart. The reason why I decided to talk about this, because for me, I think I'm just overthinking it, or maybe looking into too much of it, but I don't see him being their quarterback next year. I don't. I mean, first year starting, I mean, every quarterback goes through their, nicks and stuff like that, but he already has to go through ankle surgery. He's not that accurate of a passer. He didn't show that much great development in terms of that when it comes to, being an accurate passer. And I don't know. You know what I mean, guys? I just don't know if he's going to end up being the Eagles quarterback next year. You know what I mean? And then they're going to probably look at this and be like, oh, he's already banged up. He is on the smaller side, for quarterbacks. So maybe the Eagles could want to go somebody with a little bit more frame. I don't know. But, I mean, I hope it's successful ankle surgery. I mean, the kid is tough. You know what I mean? He played through a lot of injuries, and he did the best he could. I just don't know if Jalen Hurts is that guy in Philadelphia. And it sucks because I'm a fan of him. I like him. But it remains to be seen. But I do think the fact that he has to undergo ankle surgery, the fact that he is an undersized quarterback, I think these things will maybe weigh on Coach Sirianni and the rest of the Eagles front office, and you might be seeing a changing of the guard here. We'll see. We'll see. But I just wanted to touch on that quick Jalen Hurts news real quick. Obviously he's going, undergoes ankle surgery, and I wanted to get that out there, my opinions on why I think, this could be detrimental to him being the future of the Philadelphia Eagles. All right, we're going to move on. Staying in the NFC East. Look at that. The Washington football team reveals its new names, and now we can now call them the Washington Commanders. Oh, man. I don't like it. I'll be honest, I'm not feeling it. I mean, I really wanted them to go with the Red Wolves moniker. I thought that the color scheme that came out in the emblem, the logo, was fantastic. I thought it made sense. You know what I mean? Because, if you wanted to stick with some type of tradition from the old Washington, obviously the Redskins, if you wanted to give somewhat of an homage to that and kind of stick with roots, you could have went with the Red Wolves, because everybody knows, I mean, obviously, like, Wolves and Indians and stuff, like, that's like, that's a big thing, and it's stuff like that, like Indians and Wolves and stuff like that. So it goes hand in hand. You know what I mean? So I really would have liked if it would have been the Red Wolves. I thought that was way cooler. I like their black jerseys. It's something different. I definitely didn't expect to see them wearing black jerseys. I like that, the color scheme on, the burgundy and the gold. I think that's pretty cool. I like the jersey colors. I don't like the name. For all that, you should have did. If you were going to call them Commanders, you should have just named them the Washington Sentinels, and go full on with it. Just call them the Washington Sentinels. That's what you should have just did. But be that as it may, guys, there you have it, Washington football fans. If you want to run across this video, if you run across the stream, hit the comments section. Let me know your opinion on what you guys think about your new team name and your new jerseys. All right, guys, we're going to move on to the last part of this stream here. Got a short stream tonight, short episode tonight. But New York Jets offensive lineman Cameron Clark retires at age 24, citing potential paralysis. I wanted to talk about this, guys, because it's truly sad. I mean, I wanted to talk about this because you're starting to see a lot more of this in football. These guys playing in the NFL or any football in general for professionally for 10 plus years is like a lost relic anymore. I mean, this kid's only 24 years old. Maybe he's been in the league. I think this was a rookie. Maybe I'll say roughly 1 to 3 years he's been in the league. And he's already got to retire and cut it short because apparently I guess if he moves, if he makes contact the wrong way with his back, because he ended up missing, he's been out since training camp with a spinal cord injury. Well, now that spinal cord injury has been proven to be career threatening, and they said if he obviously takes any more contact, hard physical contact, that he could be paralyzed for the rest of his life. And it's just another situation, guys, that we see what playing football does on a human body. It takes its toll. It does. These are not machines out there, guys. These are human beings running at 40, 50 miles per hour, crashing into each other at that. The human body isn't meant to take that type of punishment, let alone any real type of punishment. It's just another situation and a reoccurring theme that we're seeing in the NFL, and rightfully so with these players. You got your money. You got as far as you can go. Why destroy your body and destroy your ability to walk or to talk or to move in general? If you don't have to anymore. Especially if your body's telling you to quit. Too many times have I seen it in sports and boxing and football where a guy, his body is shot, but he's still trying to fight through, and it's like, no. That's how people get hurt. Like, seriously hurt. So, I mean, kudos to this young man, Cameron Clark. Hopefully he finds a new passion outside of football that will lead him to much success. You know what I mean? It's just, it's sad, man. Like, it's a really sad situation to see young players who work their asses off all their life to get to this point, only to be having cut short because of a certain injury, certain body parts not working right, etc. Like, it's just a shame. He's 24 years old, and he's already got to retire because he could potentially be paralyzed if he keeps playing. That's a sad story, man. It really is. But unfortunately, this is the day and age that we live in now with the NFL. You know what I mean? It's sad. But all right, guys, that's all I have for tonight. There was a bunch of NFL news I wanted to get out there tonight. This was 717 Sports Chat Live, episode number 36. If you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's greatly, greatly appreciated, as well as hit that notification icon so you get all the latest content updates. You can also follow me on Twitter and IG. You can look me up at 717 Sports Chat Live on Twitter, or under Marcus Withers Marcus Withers 2 at Twitter on Twitter. And on IG, obviously 717 Sports Chat Live. But once again, guys, I'm your host, Marcus James Witherspoon. I'm out of here for tonight. Everybody stay safe out there. God bless.